in this video we'll be looking at how to paint white hair and beards. Just like with pretty much everything in Warhammer, there are so many colours to choose from, and sometimes we just want to show the wisdom of those warriors. For this guide, we'll be using the Space Wolf Guard and his Thunder Wolf. We'll even show you some alternative tips to use the same paints for animal fur on the Thunder Wolf itself too. And remember, you can always use this guide for any of your models in your collection. The paints we'll be using are on the screen right now. We also have a list of the additional equipment we've used, but you can use whatever brushes you feel most comfortable with. And if you're new to painting and want to brush up on your skills, you can check out the Citadel Colour Painting Essentials videos to learn all about paints and painting techniques. For our undercoat, we'll be using white scar, so our hair, beard and fur has a great bright starting point for all our paints. So our Space Wolf's head stands out in our video. I've just base coated the rest of him in another colour and popped him onto a sub-assembly peg so we can start painting. We'll thin down 1 part apothecary white with 1 part contrast medium and cover all over the hair, beard and fur with this mix. For the hair and beard, we'll use a medium layer brush as it will give us control, and a medium shade brush for the Thunder Wolf. Just make sure you apply enough to get into all those recesses, but not too much it starts to pool in places. But if it does, just take a clean brush and remove it before it dries. By adding this light mix to all of those recesses, it will give our hair some texture and shadows. Even the whitest of hair will still have some darker tones in it. The slightly blue tone in apothecary white will make the hair look even more natural, rather than a dull grey tone. Next, we'll thin down 1 part Fenrisian grey with 3 parts Lahmian medium, and add that to our recesses. As this is similar to our first step, we'll be using exactly the same brushes for both details. As it's so thin, we can apply it all over, as it will run into those gaps, hairlines and recesses nicely. By starting with a light undercoat or base coat, and darkening it down bit by bit, we can control more of those shadows and where they sit. This will give the hair and fur a little bit more colour, so when we start highlighting it, we will still keep some of those shadows underneath. And now to make this colour brighter again, for this we'll be using Corex White. For the hair and beard, we'll just start by highlighting the raised areas with a small layer brush. We want to make sure that we keep those recesses darker, so each little line we apply creates the formation of hairs. So make sure your brush is pointed by twisting and rolling the brush on the palette. This can also help us control the amount of paint that we have on our brush, making sure we don't smudge or drop too much paint into those nice blue-grey recesses. For the fur, we'll be using the same colour, but dry brushing it onto our Thunder Wolf. We'll be using circular motions to pick out all of those tufts of fur and hair, giving them a brighter tone. Check out our Painting Essentials dry brushing video if you want to learn more about dry brushing. And to finish off, we'll apply one last edge highlight of white scar to the hair and beard's most raised edges. We can also add more definition by adding smaller lines to give the hair more detail and texture. But if you don't feel like doing this, you could just stick to the main highlight points. With the fur, we'll do one more dry brush, focusing on the high points like the shoulders where our Thunder Wolf is super fluffy. We can also use the same highlighting technique for the hair too around the face or any areas that have finer details. And there we are! Our Space Wolf's hair and beard and Thunder Wolf's fur is looking silvery, white and somewhat fluffy. We just added a bit of Gilliman flesh so you can see that hair and beard even more. For more tutorials, tips and tricks, check out our videos on the Warhammer YouTube channel, or head to your local Warhammer store where our amazing staff will be happy to help you. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye!